Welcome once again to Global Reports on Liberty Television here in our studios in Kaduna. I am Arthur Brooks. We are broadcasting throughout Nigeria on Startimes Network 180. From 3rd of October, we'll also be on Gotv. We're also visible in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Gabon, Benin, Niger Republics and Sudan, and across West Africa on Multitv. And for our viewers in Jos in Plateau State, we are on free-to-air, FreeTV channel 775. You can also follow us worldwide on the internet streaming from our website www.libertytvradio.com. Today we look back some of the reports that have featured in the world news across the globe. I'm joined in the studio today by our good friend and guest, Mr. Rashid Onyangi, who doesn't need any introduction from me at all. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. It's nice to be here.
First of all, we'd like you to watch our global newspaper review. Today's UK Guardian front page carries a report that the new British Prime Minister, Theresa May, has instructed the BBC to reveal the salaries of top journalists and presenters. Some are reportedly earning over £450,000 a year. That's over 200 million naira in our money. Wow, that's a good salary. I don't think any Nigerian journalist or TV presenter is paid that much. Today's South Africa Witness newspaper carries a picture and story about Paralympic athlete Ntando Malangu, who has won a silver medal at the ongoing Rio Paralympic Games. And just aged 16, he is the youngest medal winner so far. Also, the same newspaper carries a report on the same page that President Jacob Zuma, who was ordered by a court inquiry to pay back money spent by the government on his personal home. It is revealed that he was given a loan by one of the country's top banks to repay this money. The USA newspaper The Wall Street Journal carries a report that Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's election campaign team is trying to recast his image to look more presidential. Is this possible, bearing in mind his comments in the press and at events? There you have it, the world news at a glance. One of the stories that piqued my interest this week was the news that Hillary Clinton was seen falling down after the 9/11 memorial, 15 years memorial event in New York. Let's watch the video.
This has become America's most solemn national day, the commemorations marking the anniversary of the attacks of 9/11. This year's event had already become more politicized than usual because of the presence at Ground Zero of the two presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. But it's these unexpected images on the fringes of the service that could turn it into one of the most memorable and talked about moments of the campaign. Hillary Clinton frail, stumbling, and seemingly almost fainting as she was carried into a waiting vehicle.
How are you feeling, Secretary? Feeling great.
Not long afterwards, she emerged from her daughter Chelsea's apartment in New York.
It's a beautiful day in New York.
Making light of what had happened. Her campaign released a statement saying that after 90 minutes at Ground Zero, she felt overheated and departed. But now comes a new explanation. Following treatment for a prolonged cough, Hillary Clinton was diagnosed with pneumonia by her doctor on Friday. She was put on antibiotics and advised to rest and modify her schedule. Her doctor, Lisa Bardak, said she'd become overheated and dehydrated at the 9/11 event, but was now recovering nicely. Donald Trump has tried to make Hillary Clinton's stamina an issue in this campaign, but today he deployed a new weapon, reticence.
You know where Hillary went?
She left before you.
What first seemed like images that had the potential to badly damage her campaign will perhaps now be seen in a different light, given her diagnosis with pneumonia. Nick Bryant, BBC News, New York.
There you see it's presidential candidates falling down, presidential candidates insulting people on air. It's turning into quite a comedy show. I think what they call in the States a reality show.
This is the most interesting campaign I've ever seen in the history of the United States. It has all the ingredients, like you say, of a comedy show. And thanks to Donald Trump, you know, he has been a great comedian so far. But Hillary Clinton falling down. Well, he didn't actually fall in that video. She was about to. She stumbled. She has to be supported into the bus. I don't think that will happen to our president here. He's a retired soldier, so he's always standing straight.
Retired soldiers never die, isn't it?
No. At least they always maintain a straight face and a straight spine. But the campaign has been hectic, and a lot of people will say, well, this is a chance for the sexists to come in and say, well, she's a woman after all. But anatomically, women are stronger than men. But frankly speaking, the campaign has taken its toll on Hillary Clinton, and she has had to face even more challenges than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just having fun being who he is.
Well, she's had these endless inquiries into her role in the Benghazi.
So, but the outcome is almost predictable. But who knows?
But is it? Is it predictable?
Donald Trump, yes, it seems fairly predictable. If non-Americans were to vote also, because nobody seems to like Donald Trump. He has comic value.
But as we saw in his in that newspaper review, his campaign committee or campaign managers, or whatever you call them, are trying to make him look more presidential.
Yeah, but
he's criticised that by saying he doesn't want to be seen as trying to pull the wool over the eyes for politicians.
Yeah, but it is already obvious that if you try to do anything to make Donald Trump look better, people will immediately know that you are trying to launder his image. So it's better for him to remain the way he is.
Well, you, as probably not a supporter, though we're not in the States, but his supporters might feel differently.
No, he has supporters. There's no doubt about that.
Supporters, yeah.
But a lot of people have this discomfort about him. You know, yes, there are type of people like Donald Trump in America. A lot of them. Imagine someone like Al Sharpton becoming president of the U.S. You know, or these are people who are on the periphery of extreme
controversial
extreme opinions and stuff. Yeah. And Donald Trump managed to secure the presidential nomination, not because he's the best candidate, but because the other candidate appears to not have it together.
Well, haven't you said it? Not because because I think he was the best candidate when you compare the other Republican
when you compare
candidates.
in the Republican camp. I think the Republicans should just probably forget about presidency for the next 8 years.
It looks, the Republicans look like they've not got their act together in the States.
No. After 9/11, after Bush.
I think after Bush.
After Bush, they really, even Bush had some issues. The way he emerged as president itself was controversial. And that dug in all through his presidency, added with the 9/11 and the subsequent Iraqi wars.
There was some issue over black voters being engineered, so
especially in Florida, that is being presided over by his brother. You know, at that time. So,
but they say that is still going on in Florida. This issue of trying to exclude some people from
the way the American electoral system is structured. It is just unfortunate that when Bush was coming in, it all boils down to one state. You know, to make the decision, and that just happens to be the state where Bush is in power. You know, so it favored him, and there was a bit of challenge at first until I don't know who came out and said he's the president, you know, and stuff like that. But it has happened. It has happened. But right now, the Republicans are having a hard time convincing Americans that they can actually present a credible candidate.
followed by some of the Republicans during the 2008 world.
I mean,
recession.
I thought
economic-
Newt Gingrich was the worst
Yeah.
Republican, but Donald Trump really trumps
Really,
Trump's
trumped everybody.
Trumps Newt Gingrich.
And then this issue of his wife suing one of the UK national papers for suggesting she was a former sex worker.
Well,
That
I
has
don't
not
know
gone
about
down
that, but American politics has suffered a lot in that respect. But let's not rule out Trump, because there's one thing to be said for the candidate, but another to be said for the establishment that backs him. And typically, Americans tend sometimes to look beyond the candidate and look at the principles involved. Okay, I'm a Republican, and I don't care. I mean, take Reagan, for example. Reagan was a very articulate guy. He's a good orator. He motivated, he galvanized Americans, to vote for him. But everybody knew, even while he was doing that, he doesn't really have anything to say about policy.
Yeah.
But he got himself a very good structure behind him, and they took over the White House and pretty much ran it the way they wanted.
You made a point earlier, Rashid, the fact that in America, like a lot of other countries, particularly Europe and America, party is heart of politics.
Yes.
And parties have a long traditional and long
Yes.
respect by the people.
Yes, and
This
also
is
that
something we've really not developed here, from
no,
what I see.
by a long
Parties
shot we have
yeah.
not, because in American politics, issues are always very much at the forefront.
Yeah.
You may have candidates backing these issues. They examine their record, they examine their opinions about these issues, but issues are always very germane. Bush came on the platform of no new taxes. And Americans love not to pay taxes, so they elected him. You could say that's what got him in. Clinton got in saying, let's fix the economy, and Trump really doesn't have a issue platform except that he's going to, what did he say? He's going to, he's more of a remake America or something, rebuild America.
Yeah.
So, and there was a lot of, and the point also is that Obama hasn't done really badly. And it's always difficult for Republicans to counter this when a Democrat has really done very well. Though that didn't apply during Clinton's time.
But that's why they've done a lot. The Republicans have done a lot of work to try and undercut what Obama has done.
Yes, but it seems like an uphill task, because they are using their dominance in the Congress to try and mix things up so that the Democrats will look really bad. But that does not appear to be succeeding, especially with Trump running as a Republican candidate for the November elections. It's really going to be an interesting thing.
It's going to be
watch.
very interesting,
Yes.
particularly when it comes to the debate between the two major candidates.
Yes. I know Trump will be abusive as usual, and but I believe Hillary is a veteran. She's very experienced. She's been in the White House, 8 years, Secretary of State, and all, and now she's a candidate. She will really have to. She can handle Trump, I believe.
Let's hope she doesn't fall down again on the job. Another thing has come up this week is there's been since the end of last week. In Syria, there's been a cessation of hostilities, and it's been partially holding apparently. Watch this short video from BBC showing what is happening in the city of Aleppo, which is one of Syria's second greatest city and a very historical city.
Wow.
There we have it. Aleppo, one of the great cities of Syria, very historical city, and unfortunately, like the rest of Syria, a bit of a mess. As opposition forces, ISIS, the forces loyal to the government, opposition forces are all fighting to gain control. And in the middle are the ordinary, poor people, men, women, children. Something like, I think, 25 million people have been displaced in Syria. That's the figures I heard.
What's the population of Syria itself as a country?
Not about 30 or 40, I think. I may be wrong.
The unfortunate thing about Syria is that the country is already completely destroyed, except for Damascus, which is still holding on. The good thing is that the Syrian forces have regained the initiative with the help of the Russians. And probably we will begin to see an attempt by all the parties involved. And don't forget, Turkey is now inside the conflict, not really backing anybody, but simply using the excuse of ISIS activities in Syria to also hit back at the Kurds.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate
So
part
this
of it.
is really becoming a lot messier now. But the good thing is that the combatants are becoming more clear-cut. ISIS is on the defensive, obviously, and everybody is against them. You know, the rebel forces, who have never really been credible as a fighting force, have now been given a new lease of life. You know, because of the exit of the fact that ISIS is already on the retreat. Okay, but they still cannot be a match for the Syrian army forces supported by Russia. It appears Russia has become the game changer in Syria, because since they came in, giving the Syrians air support, the tide has turned in favor of the Syrian government. Okay, and of course, because there is no credible opposition to actually replace the Syrian regime in Syria, the Western allies too pretty much stood back and allowed the Syrian Bashar al-Assad to take territory and maybe stabilize the situation. But I don't know if there's going to be a negotiation who Assad is going to negotiate with, because he definitely has the upper hand in Aleppo, and virtually everywhere he decides to go to now, he gains the upper hand.
And for sure, he ain't going to resign like some of the opposition forces.
That is not going to happen. How do you resign with such an advantage in your hands?
Well, not just advantage. What his family have done, his father included. How many people died under his father? How many people?
More people have died since the beginning of the civil war than Hafiz al-Assad ever killed in Syria.
But then I suppose the argument that you just, like has happened in Iraq, happened in Afghanistan, when you destroy the regime that's actually even Libya, control, you end up with a vacuum. Which is often even worse. So sometimes it's necessary to support the bad guy.
Precisely.
And hope that there'll be
which has always been the rationale of American policy before it turned idealistic and simply went for the moral definition of good guy and bad guy. They should have left Saddam. They could at least manage Saddam's activities in the Gulf, you know, only for them to overthrow him, and then they had a war they could have ended in 2 days. A war that could not have taken place at all. It took them 10 years, and they are still there.
I guess it's a big decision for anybody who's involved in these crises and these to know what the best thing to do. But certainly, as we've just said, when you have a regime change and you leave a vacuum, it's far. But look what's happening in Libya right now. In fact, that was going to be one of my other stories about the British Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Cameroun, has been criticised by a commission for his handling of the Libya crisis. Him and Sarkozy, the then President of France, the way they purposely pushed for the fall of Gaddafi, which has resulted in the chaos they have there now. So this regime change is a very delicate
Well,
issue.
it's supporting dictators seemed to be the most logical thing during the Cold War. But there is this general belief that once the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union broke up, that we have a unipolar world that America dominates. They pretty much can call the shot, but they do not understand exactly the dynamics of those former Soviet supported countries. They do not understand the dynamics that rule them. Okay, and they never bothered.
And the current no longer Soviet, Russian leadership seems to want to go back to the days of
I don't think they have the resources to do that. But they have a better understanding of which buttons to press in these countries in order to get people on their side. In any case, they go into these countries and play the spoiler. You know, when you see rebels with AK-47 rifles, you know it's either coming from Russia or its former Eastern European allies. So there's a lot of things going on there in the Islamic crescent, as they say, and the crisis does not appear to be anywhere nearing an end so far.
Sad, yeah. Well, that crisis may be not an end, but our time is up on Liberty Global Reports. And if you would like to join us on our Facebook page at Liberty Global Reports, where you can see videos of some of these programs we're showing, together with information on stories we have covered. You can post messages and read what others think. For more Global Reports, join us in the studio next week, and I'd like to thank my guest and good friend Rashid for appearing on the show once again. So this is Arthur Brooks and all our program staff and studio staff here at Liberty TV Kaduna. Thank you very much. Have a great week.